All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Welcome back to another SoCast webinar, Programming Your Digital Day and some secrets to optimize your audience engagement. This one, I just delved into and I found, just so much information. It was really hard to distill down. So I got a ton of information for you here today. I hope that it's helpful to you. I always want to make sure I'm providing you all with some good tactical and strategic things you can take back and implement at your stations and with your groups. Again, my name is Eric Eisen. I head up sales and marketing here at SoCast. It's always a pleasure. These webinars are one of my favorite things to do live from my bedroom. We got a big Raptors game going on tonight, so hopefully some of you will be cheering for that. And if you're not, I'll forgive you. But nevertheless, let's get into programming your digital day and secrets to optimize your audience engagement. I apologize if you hear my kids working from home, and the delights of that are always great. So bear with me if you can. Thanks so much. So just before, always some housekeeping. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. I have my colleague Shay answering those in real time. You can use the GoToWebinar sidebar on the, I believe it should be on the right side of your screen, facing your screen. So make sure you feel free to ask us questions, provide us with feedback. And we'd also love your feedback on our Twitter handle at SoCast, and you can hashtag us at Digital Dollars. Again, I've introduced myself 3 times now, so I won't bore you with that again. This webinar, a little bit of a word from your sponsor, if you will, is brought to you by SoCast. We don't like to make these too advertorial, but certainly we want you to know what we offer for those who don't. We are proud to say that we work with radio broadcasters to make digital growth easy. And a couple of things to take away from that. One, we specialize in providing solutions to radio broadcasters only. And we really strive to help them grow in this digital age in 2 areas. One, grow your audience and your web traffic, your social media engagement, as well as your mobile app traffic. And then secondly, we really want to help you turn digital into a revenue center, ensuring that it's not a cost center. And we have some great solutions that can help you all out with monetizing your digital as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us and talk to us about that. We position ourselves as being unique to the radio broadcast industry in that we offer an integrated solution that really blends together content management and advertising platform for radio broadcasters. We offer content management for your websites, mobile apps. We have some amazing digital advertising solutions so you can sell more of your owned and operated inventory, as well as some programmatic ad solutions so you can sell a comprehensive marketing plan to all of your ad partners. We also offer Alexa skills for your smart speakers, social relationship management tool, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. And of course, we not only bring it with our software, we bring it with our expertise as well, and are more than happy to offer any digital consultation as well. Our vision is very simple. We really want to help you with our 2 platforms, the audience platform and the sales platform. The audience platform, in short, is designed so you and your content producers, content authors can create, promote, and publish more content out to all of the digital channels that are out there. Everything from your websites, apps, into social media. Even your player can become an engaging and revenue generating channel for you. And of course, we want to help you raise that digital dollar and make sure that you make digital a revenue center, not a cost center, by selling more owned and operated inventory and more programmatic inventory. But enough about us. Let's get into the webinar. We got a lot to cover today. Some of the things we're going to cover today is why digital engagement is important, that radio is now an omni-channel content producer. I want to discuss a little bit about the key elements within your content toolkit, how to create some engaging content specifically for web and for social media. We're going to discuss a little bit about timing your content as well. And then I have some great tools at the end and resources that, because we know you're all sort of resource strapped in this crazy time, we really want to make sure that you have some good resources that are inexpensive, free or inexpensive, to help you produce more digital content. So why does digital engagement matter? Well, really, this is where your fans are. This is where your biggest fans. Of course, they're on in the car and they're listening to you there. But obviously, you know, as people, more and more people are working from home, less people are driving. And just as people have so many more channels and so much more competition for the ear that you have to battle against, you know, they are really online. They're on Twitter and Facebook. They're on the web. They're on their mobile phones, smartphones, of course, and you need to be as well. And the benefits to you is that you can drive more digital tune-ins, more traffic to your websites, because that is critical for you to have them engaged, not just through your audio stream, but through your digital channels as well. With that, that is a great opportunity. As your traffic grows, so does the value of your owned and operated inventory and your credibility as a full comprehensive marketing solution for your ad partners. So now let's get into it and talk about how we do it. The key is to think of it as developing critical content and making sure that you amplify it out into all of the critical channels, and making sure you're using those amplification channels, social media, push notifications, your mobile apps, all to drive traffic back to that content, to drive more engagement and a more return from your audience back to those digital channels. I think it's more important than ever that radio recognizes that all of you as traditional radio broadcasters start to recognize that traditional is definitely the most important aspect of what you do today, but only slightly more than the digital element. And you are now omni-channel content producers. You are now relied on to produce content for on air as well as online, social media, in a variety of channels. And it's these omni-channel content strategies that are really going to be critical for you to grow your listenership and engagement. With a little bit of a vacuum that has been created as some local print publishers start to demise, unfortunately, there is a great opportunity for radio to tackle the local content and advertising market. And this is a critical opportunity and juncture for all of you as radio broadcasters now. We really feel very strongly, again, with the decline of the newspaper, that radio can take advantage of that vacuum and really become that core focus, that news hub, that content hub for all of your local communities. And the reality is the smaller and medium-sized markets right now are doing a phenomenal job replacing the newspapers within that vacuum. I can tell you that the majority of highly trafficked websites, of our top 50 trafficked websites on the SoCast platform, 70% of them are small market. That is in towns of less than 20,000 people by population. So just to give you a sense, our largest by traffic volume publisher is VOCM out of St. John's, Newfoundland, which is a city of about 200,000 people that's doing over 14 million page views a month. So just to give you a sense that it doesn't all fall to the large market broadcasters to drive all the traffic. And we really feel more than ever that having a good competitive sounding stream available on all devices, smartphones, tablets, smart speakers, on smart TVs, through wireless speaker system is more critical than ever. And thinking about how you can publish and syndicate and share your content out across all of your digital channels, your website, your mobile apps, that is a great opportunity to get it in front of your biggest listeners and the people who are visiting your websites on an ongoing basis. So think omni-channel. Make sure that your content management team is able to create, promote, publish, and syndicate content to engage your audience in all of the various digital channels that you have available to you. Social, web, app, your player, your audio stream, and of course, smart speaker and voice. So what can you do about it to seize the day? Well, first of all, make sure you're streaming omni-channel. More people are listening to audio on their smartphones than ever before, and household listening to smart speakers has increased. Tablet use is up as well this year, by almost 50%, and that would be likely due to people working from home more and more. Make sure you're promoting and creating omni-channel content. And what do we mean by that? Using social media to really promote appointment listening, your listen to wins, contests, your big announcements, whether it's COVID related or not, openings, closures, etc. All of that is really critical. Right now we're back to school. Schools in my local community are changing their announcements all the time. It is important that you are that local community hub for that type of information. And making sure you're promoting your stream and content in social media, because again, that is a huge driver of traffic for our partners across all of North America. Make sure you're engaging with those conversations, that you're not just posting to social media and then getting a response. Make sure you're liking other people's comments. Make sure you're responding to them where you can. That is a very critical thing to keep them coming back and sharing that information amongst their peer groups. And we'll talk a little bit more about the influencer effect as a critical tool later on. And make sure you're using all of your digital tools. We will talk about some tools that you should have in your toolkit momentarily, as well as the type of content that you should have with it. There's some great opportunities in 2020. Obviously, with the election coming up, now is the time to be jumping on that. We're not going to be focusing a lot on how to do that in this webinar, but certainly I'd be happy to consult with many of you, any of you who want to pick my brain on what some of our partners have done in the past, both US and Canadian elections, to really leverage and drive traffic to their website so they're that local hub for all US election news coming through the critical next just under 2 months. And making sure localized content is a big focus as well. Obviously, you know, I've really tried to stay away from, you know, the big C word with COVID, but the reality is it's still there. We're having some, you know, different communities are having ups and downs, and, you know, everybody is sort of doing their own thing. So more important than ever that you're still talking about that, but more importantly, what you're talking about, how it's impacting local businesses and what they're doing to, you know, adapt to that. What are education programs doing to adapt to that? That is that critical information that you definitely want to acknowledge. So let's talk a little bit about the digital content toolkit. I would say, you know, we're not going to discuss all of these today, because this, again, as I got into it, I was just like, wow, there is just so much, and it's all fun, exciting stuff. But your critical digital content toolkit is really made up of, you know, these 8 items. You have your blogs and news stories, and we'll talk about those for sure today. You have social media. You have on-demand content as well, which could warrant a whole webinar within itself, and maybe I'll do that next month. Push notifications from your mobile apps and from your desktop push notifications to make people aware of all of your content. There's localized and user-generated content, UGC content, that you can benefit from. You have your promotions and contests as well. And of course, video is playing a very strong role in this day and age. We will certainly, given the time, be covering off a number of these in this webinar today. So the first thing I want to say is, you know, when I speak to broadcasters, we often hear, you know, well, I don't have the resources to blog, and it is tough, and we understand that, particularly in this day and age where, you know, you're running on thin resources, thin staffs, and everything like that. But blogging is a very critical portable form of content. You have to, and you don't have to think of it as long form. I often find that is the error when I speak to broadcasters, that they think it's all going to be long form. In reality, it can be short paragraphs, short, quick, and readable. It can be very video based. It can be audio clip based with short images with a few comments. It can be listicle based, meaning just short lists of, you know, top 10 songs that were requested this week. You want to include as much real life data and backup sources and links for both SEO and just because people are really interested in real life data that can help them. You want to use your content to start conversations, and make sure you're bridging your on-air with your digital, meaning your on-air talent and on-air personalities should be promoting that, asking questions and having people respond in Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, liking those things, going to your website and making comments if your content management system for web offers that type of functionality. You want to take advantage of influencers, and I have a small section in this webinar that I'm going to dedicate to that. So let's hold that off and how you can take advantage of both local, national influencers as well. And again, don't be afraid to start spending time promoting your content to drive that traffic. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the best practices momentarily. So here's some blog content ideas, especially for microblogging. Again, it's all about posting small amounts of digital content, text, pictures, links, short video, and audio clips, and make them shareable and quick to read. And blog around a theme, whether it's a seasonal, a holiday, back to school, whether it's 401k, obviously the C word comes in here, but produce guides and lists, the best places to eat, drink, attractions, DIY projects that people can do. And of course, hot topics, things around, shows or movies or local sports that may be rising up, elections, obviously, depending on political affiliation and whether your brand actually wants to get deep into the political realm or stay away from that political spectrum. That is a decision that can be made depending on your political affiliation. And of course, things like award shows, basic things like that always resonate. In this day and age, good news is also awesome. I've seen a number of our partner sites on our platform start to have good news sections. I think people are looking for escape, and they're counting on radio, as they always have, not just only for the facts and for the locality, but for a little bit of escapism as well. So critical that you start to talk about some of the good news that's going on, because that does happen, believe it or not, in this day and age, and I think we're all overlooking it a little bit. Blog around your shows as well. If you're bringing in local business leaders, if you're bringing in local influencers, politicians, bands, etc., make sure you blog on that topic and discuss it on air. Make sure whatever is discussed on air, also maybe from your on-air personalities, gets a little short blog and gets posted to your website and promoted on air, as I mentioned earlier. And another great idea is to promote a blog and create one with behind the scenes content or interviews with guests from your show. Even if it's just a transcript of an interview, that's a great content piece or a couple of quotations to go on your website and mobile app. Making your headlines click-worthy is very important. So this is a great, one thing I wanted to mention is all of you will receive this presentation. So you will all have this as a resource, which I hope will be beneficial to you. But certainly this is a great formula for developing a headline where you will attract more readership because really people are more likely to read a headline. And if the headline is not very engaging, they are likely to really tune out pretty quickly. So some things to avoid while you're writing headlines: don't give away the goods. Don't tell them the whole story. You want to have something in there that teases them. You don't want to pander to your audience with cliches or cheese or anything like that. You really want to make sure that you are coming up with the facts, with something that is going to express value, tricks, X things to do in the community, etc. And don't make it too, exclamation points are widely overused in copywriting. I have a friend who is a top ad executive in New York City, and whenever I write him and put exclamation points, he's always yelling at me that do not use exclamation points. They're widely overused. Again, you don't want to be too vague or mysterious, but you definitely want to have a tease. So where do you source blog content? So there are a couple of ways to do this, and there are some tools that I'll share with you over the next couple of slides here. So a great way with Twitter is to build lists of key influencers, bands, fans, local personalities, politicians that already share great content, and use that content as inspiration for your next blog. Not only that, make sure you retweet and comment and like their comments as well and add context to it, especially because you as local brands and your personalities are local influencers. They too, that whole sort of influencer effect that we'll visit later, will really have a critical a benefit to you in expanding your reach across all social media platforms. So local influencers can be artists or athletes, business leaders, politicians, journalists, TV station, TV hosts, local bloggers, bands, venues even, comedians and comedy clubs, and even, organizers of festival and events. So it doesn't even really have to be a personality. A great way to also identify trending topics is to set up Google Alerts. So if you're a classic rock fan and you want to set up Google Alerts, it's very easy to do in Google to set up an alert that will alert you or your content producers about a specific topic. In sales here, of somebody who does research on radio broadcasters every day, I have competitors in there to see what they're posting, and Google will automatically send me a push notification when they are mentioned in the news. So it can be, again, artists or politicians or teams or local sports teams, and if they are, if anything is posted about them in social or on Google, you will be alerted to that and be able to share or respond to that as well. Twitter is easy to find highly searched and trending topics. That's an easy thing to do and definitely a great resource. And definitely, as I mentioned earlier, reference and discuss trending shows, pop culture events, and seasonal topics based around holidays and events like that. So again, you'll all receive this, so I don't expect you to, pretend you're at the doctor and try to read all of this, but there are a huge amount of popular free content sources that you can leverage, as well as a variety of RSS feeds that that you can monitor. If you have a social relationship management tool like SoCast, for example, you can actually monitor RSS feeds to find out what's breaking news. I can also email you a list of free RSS feeds that our partners use for content to be pulled into their website, their content management system, as well as, and most importantly, finding great trending and fun content to share with your audience. So please, I'll share my email at the end of the webinar, but don't hesitate to email me and we can provide you with a list of about 20 different complementary RSS feeds. Obviously, there are better quality, higher quality RSS feeds that you would maybe need to subscribe to as well. But really, you can get a great amount of content from these free sources as well as RSS feeds. Moving along here, the best way to do it is really in 3 easy steps. Going to a thing like BuzzFeed, finding a ranking of the 2490 classic 90s TV. Then writing a quick blog with a quick image and you're writing your top 5 favorite as a talent and sharing that out into social. That workflow can be very simple, very quick, and very easy and drive a tremendous amount of engagement from your audience by asking them what their favorite movies was and talking about it on air. So it can be simple as finding, creating, and promoting basic content like this when it comes to blogging. So when should you be pushing out your blogs? Well, some interesting things. Web traffic tends to spike between 9 a.m. and noon with a 10 a.m. peak. The nice thing to note is since COVID, the line has remained actually a lot flatter through the day, obviously because people are working from home more, so they're not tuning off your radio once they get into the office. They're probably staying online and looking at that. So there was less of a decrease from 10 a.m. on since March, since about mid-March, than there has been from before COVID. So your best times to produce your critical content is within the morning hours, and that would be for your unique blog content. It doesn't mean you don't produce blog content throughout the day, but that would be maybe more focused on breaking news content or happenings that are actually happening throughout the day. Some of your unique content should be produced best in the 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. time slot. As you can see, based on one study, morning AM hours or when people choose to read blogs, less so in the PM hours as the day goes on. And that does line up very nicely with the previous graph, so everything is really consistent. And lastly, some best practices. Again, just post small amounts of digital content. Don't overwhelm yourself thinking it has to be long form. Make sure you have images with all of your content. It is very important. There's significantly more engagement with posts that have images, both social and blog posts. We discussed having an inviting headline. You don't want 80% of your people not clicking on it with uninviting headlines. Make sure you're really focusing a lot on live and local. They tend to drive the best results. Listicles is a low-hanging fruit that is very easy to capture interest. People like those things. They're easy to read. They're short and consumable. An excellent best practice to always include a short audio or video content clips where you can, particularly from interviews or from local news events if you're able to get out into the field. So that's the start with blogs, and hopefully I'm doing a good job giving you some good insights into how to program your digital day. Another critical area of programming your digital day is absolutely social media. So make sure, number one, that you are using all of your favorite social media tools. You really are using all of the social media tools. Of course, you're going to have your favorite, and in here I'll tell you which one we think are the most critical ones. The other critical thing is to know the difference between each platform. Very frequently we'll see our partners post the same thing to Twitter that they have posted to Facebook, that they posted to YouTube. That is not the best practice, because all three platforms have different objectives, reach different audiences, and engage their audiences in different ways. So it's very important that you know which demo to each, which to post to each platform and what type of content. And the other thing is, make sure you imagine how your brand would speak. Don't speak like a robot or be too formal. If your brand is casual and relaxed and young, make sure the language that you put out reflects that. So many posts are just boring and inane. Make sure you're talking like your brand. If it's a news and talk station that is a little bit more formal, of course, your audience is going to be more formal and expect that type of language. So pretty common sense things. Let's look at Facebook. Now, Facebook is really your digital billboard, and it is still king. I mean, we all hearing how Facebook is sort of dying, and they're getting some very bad press, and some would say justifiably so. But the reality is that Facebook still drives 90% of social referrals on the SoCast platform to websites. That means traffic driven from social, 90% of it comes from Facebook. The other 8% comes from Twitter, and then the other 2% is split up in fractions. So if you're going to invest any of your time in social media, we would undoubtedly say Facebook gets you the best return on that time investment that you'll be spending there. And Facebook is the best tool to use to engage your biggest fans and engage with comments, like, comment, and share frequently. Make sure your talent and your personalities are taking the time. Some of you may have community managers or local interns that can do some of that work for you. That is a very critical thing, is actually engaging and following up and thanking people. That will get return, that will get them to share more frequently, and has a big effect. And you can ultimately use Facebook to build an audience around a topic and then pull in live comments and questions and engage with more on-air content, on-air discussion about that content. So again, I mentioned that social media platforms that drive traffic, you can see this is just a 1-week snapshot, but I can tell you this is from the SoCast platform Google Analytics pane. I can tell you that this is consistent week over week for the last 52 weeks, that the majority of social referrals comes from Facebook, over 90%, with just about 9% of referrals coming from Twitter. So both of those tend to be the largest drivers of traffic when promoted out. Instagram, you can see, only represents about 0.8%. So it's either dramatically underutilized or not a huge driver of traffic for radio broadcasters. So now getting into writing for Facebook and some ideas. Well, first of all, promote your upcoming program, post images and content from it. That's a great way to, a great content piece. It will help drive traffic to your listen live and your on-air streaming, your streaming. And share and promote and engage, the thirds rule. So spend about a third of your time of all your posts to promote your content and shows. Another third of your time to be on the lookout for entertaining posts within your network and sharing and commenting on those. And another third, engaging and socializing. You can like what others have posted or leave comments as well. So that third is a good rule of thumb for you to all take back to your teams who may be wondering, how much is too much? How do we do this? This is a good starting point for you. Offer behind the scenes peeks, photos and videos of what's going on after the show, before the show, while there's a 20-minute no commercial free set. All of those things will really help out. Promote content from your blogs and your stream. Make sure that you include a link to your streaming player in the majority of your Facebook posts. And you can also use memes, GIFs, and emojis very playfully. A weekly top 10 is a great tool that you can do. Again, the weekly most requested songs or top songs just on the charts. Some other writing tips for Facebook. Make sure, again, you're adding media to every post, and convert text-based posts to images whenever possible. More people will see it. More people look at things, look at imagery rather than read. We're getting lazy. Have a clear CTA, listen, join, subscribe, share, and include a link to your player. I can't express that enough. Be personal, be emotional. Make sure, again, that your language is reflecting the content that you are pushing out there. And make sure you're promoting all your blogs, contests, your stream, your day parts, and more. And of course, use hashtags whenever available so people can search and will have more discoverability for you. Again, just a couple of examples of a good meme, a weekly top 10, and just a photo from behind the scenes at a broadcaster that were posted to Facebook. What's the best time of day for posting to Facebook? Well, I do want to say this with a grain of salt. So this is according to Sprout Social, who does a ton of research and are experts within the social media industry. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about time of day for posting and frequency a little bit later on. But according to their research, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 5 p.m. and Friday from 8 to 9 p.m. are the best times, with the best time being Wednesday and the worst day being Sunday. The other counter to Sunday is that there is not that much competition. So sometimes it's not a bad way to actually to counter them. We're finding that a lot of traffic is driven on Sunday from social media because there's not as much competition out there on Sundays for the eyeballs. In the US, 74% of users visit their favorite media site every day. So that would be a really important thing, that you're updating your sites, you're updating your Facebooks frequently. And media companies tend to see higher engagement than other industries throughout the week. Some other industries, non-media publishers, will see, real peaks and valleys throughout the week. I can tell you that media companies like radio broadcasters, like all of yourselves, really see sort of a balance across the week. So certainly there are favorable times. Now, Twitter. Now, Twitter, again, probably the second biggest driver. There is a ton of scrolling happening on Twitter. So these are much more snackable, quick info, quick little bites of content, news breaks, set alerts, etc. Reminding people of appointment listing, for promotions, for contests, for events on air, for changing of the day part. Those are probably the most critical things that you would use Twitter for, but much smaller, much more snackable, not the same type of content. You can also tease content, ask for, things like polls you can do on there. So again, writing for Twitter, again, to promote and trail your upcoming programming is very critical. Share short clips of your broadcast. It only allows Twitter for about 2+ minutes of it, but it's a great way to get, somebody who's been into your station, maybe for an interview, with just a quick teaser of them. Again, just like Facebook, you can be playful with memes, GIFs, and emojis to promote those things. And make sure you are promoting, again, just like Facebook, your blogs and your stream in shorter format. So also critical within the Twitterverse as well. And another thing is, again, we mentioned earlier that Twitter is a great way to monitor other content and other events and trending activities. So make sure you play around and your teams play around with using Twitter to identify trending content and find relevant conversations. So again, more writing tips for Twitter. Don't be robotic. Refresh your brand. Reflect your brand. Make sure you're using hashtags even more on Twitter than you would on Facebook, and mention your influencers as well. If you do find something, an article that you like, make sure you're tagging that author. They are an influencer. Make sure you're giving them kudos, or if you want to be controversial, fight back against them. But those type of things will tend to go viral if it's meaningful enough. Link your sites with shortened URLs. Again, there are URL shorteners like Bitly out there because those characters do count towards your 255 character limit. So make sure. Leverage lists a lot and use facts and figures where possible. And again, retweet relevant content to your audience, and retweet and comment on relevant influencers posts. Utilize Twitter polls and sharing live tweeting or answering questions during the show, so you can have a great bridge between your on-air and what you're pushing out into Twitter as well. Great engagement tool. And make sure you're posting different types of content from different authors and rotate that throughout the week. Assuming you can only post once or twice per day, if you are really limited in posting to Twitter, again, Twitter is one of those ones you can post very frequently. Facebook, minimum once a day, but definitely as breaking stories come or you have big announcements, you want to be doing more on Facebook as well. But make sure you have different content types and you're not just doing the exact same thing over and over. So when should you post to Twitter? Well, according to Sprout Social, Wednesday 9 a.m. and Thursday 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. are the best. Best days are Thursdays and Fridays, and the worst days are Saturdays. Again, this is all based upon a wide data spread that Sprout Social has. And again, I don't think that there is one silver bullet, which we'll talk about more momentarily. But media companies have a lot more flexibility in their publishing calendar for Twitter, is what they said. And the most consistent engagement occurs really for media Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Again, when your morning people are online and listening, because that tends to be the biggest time. Let's talk a little bit about Instagram. I would say Instagram is really the last out of the big three social media platforms. They have 1 billion active users, and it is very youth oriented. It is great for creating brands. And when I say brands, I would think more of your on-air personalities brands. It's great for tagging advertisers and great for video because you can use Instagram stories, you can post video on there. And it's a great way when you're out in the field at live to airs or community events or local events or doing activations with your listeners. It's a great way to share images for them as well. So you can see, just going back, this is my good friend Brett Mega doing, a video of, the Ice Bucket Challenge way back. But it's his brand, his personality, and he posted it as well as had the station posted it. And you can just see how Instagram makes it very easy to do. So use Instagram to let people see your radio show. Insta Stories is a great way to link back to a variety of different content, and they're great teases for you. You can post videos and pictures. Those are really the mainstay of Instagram, and use audio and video as much as you can to engage. The best times to post to Instagram, again, I feel like, if you're posting to Instagram 2 to 3 times per week, it's reasonable just given the way the format of this social media platform is. The best times they say is 9 a.m. on Friday, and the best day is Fridays. The worst days are Saturdays and Sundays. But higher engagement times seem to be split between the morning and the afternoon for Instagram. So it's different than Facebook and Twitter. And again, I really think, you're not posting necessarily daily. You're posting when you actually have something to post about in your Instagram feeds. Some other considerations to consider with, that's funny that I said that. Some other considerations for social media and recapping things. Again, be on brand with your stations. Your post should really be designed and targeted towards your audience. And again, think about that language that you use. Again, avoid being robotic. Images, video, audio, critical to any social media posts. And again, know which posts to post to. Don't blanket drop a post across all three. There is definitely, each platform has its own unique use case. Now, lastly, develop a realistic posting schedule that works for your brand and team. I would say there is no silver bullet. Just be consistent and post daily. I think you don't want your new audience members or existing audience members to come to your Facebook and not see a post for 3 or 4 days. Try a minimum of 1 per day for Facebook, and definitely strive for more, and definitely try for a minimum of 2 to 3 posts on Twitter, with 2 to 3 posts per week on Instagram. That's at your minimum. If you have the resources to do more, certainly we encourage you to be out there and activating with influencers on as much as you can, really looking for trending content and sharing that out and posting and talking about it on air. That is really going to be the differentiator, and posting as frequently as you can. Now, I've mentioned a few times influencers, and there is something called the influencer effect. And the influencer effect is really there to accelerate the reach of your content by sharing it with an influencers network. And again, we shared who those influencers were. They could be local politicians or business leaders or local teachers or athletes, really anybody or any event that really has a wide reach within your community. And the influencer effect starts with you sharing your message to your audience. So you post something out onto social media, and within your social media, you have maybe an influencer, someone in your audience that has an engaged audience of their own. And from there, that influencer shares your content to their audience. And instantly you have, a dramatic and, incremental gain in the reach of your content. So the more influencers you can engage with and the more frequently you do this, the more likely you are able to have a trickle over into their audiences, which will ultimately, in theory, increase your audience. So that is a great way to look at things, to make sure and provides you with some value as to why you need to go out and engage with influencers with both your community and within your own social media communities. Some other essential tools as we're sort of winding down here to program your digital day. Well, first of all, I think it's essential that you have an integrated content management system, something like a SoCast, that's going to let you publish across all of the digital channels that are out there and help your listeners stay informed, with local news and closures, weathers and events in your local community. Obituaries are some of the most highly trafficked pages on our website. We already talked about the importance of blogs and having an active social media strategy, and push notifications through your mobile app and desktop are another critical way to make sure people are aware of that content. So you can either do Google or Apple desktop push notifications through the SoCast platform, and that is a great way to create awareness of your local brands, as well as push notifications through your mobile app to make people aware of breaking news, weather alerts, breaking contest announcements. Hopefully one day we'll be able to announce concerts, sports scores, etc. Those are all very critical things. Evaluate whether your content management system truly allows you to share your content across multiple digital channels and multiple digital properties, multiple brands and websites seamlessly with low effort, because you already have enough to do in this day and age. So again, making it easy for cross-channel content syndication. That should be easy so you can publish out to your website, your mobile app, and into social media from one back end rather than having to use multiple back ends. And SoCast uniquely offers that as well. Having a social relationship manager to enable you to be social and monitor social media activity and publish with ease is also critical. Our SRM and most social relationship managers, that's what SRM stands for, allow you to post to multiple accounts at once, so you no longer have to natively manage social media within the platform. It'll allow you to track and monitor your social posting and identify and reproduce success to see how your posts are actually generating engagement and traffic back to your website. And ultimately, a good SRM should also allow you to schedule posts. From a monitoring aspect, they should enable you to track streams. So you can track hashtags, you can track Facebook, you can track your Twitter accounts, even RSS feeds, Instagram are critical, that you should be able to track what's going on. Having a local RSS feed and a national RSS feed for your on-air personalities to monitor while they're on air in case there is breaking news is a critical thing, so they can then be right on top of it and share it at the point of the break, so they know that they're talking about great content at a timely position. Smart Streams in our back end will tell you how many people are talking about it and help you identify influencers as well as sentiment, whether it's a positive, negative, or neutral story as well. So that is also a critical thing, and even getting some demographic information on who's engaging with your content, so you can make sure that your content that you're sharing out also will resonate with your audience. Like very often, different formats are skewed towards a male or female audience, so you may want to make sure that the majority of your content that you're sharing out is well skewed for that specific audience. And lastly, a content calendar is a great tool to have within your social relationship management tool, because it will allow you to see all of the social posts that are scheduled for a given time period, schedule posts in the blank spots, and edit other users' posts to make sure that you have a critical mass of social media content going out throughout the week and each day. Some other social relationship management tools that you can consider are Hootsuite, TweetDeck, Sprout Social, to name a few. There's also one called Buffer. Of course, SoCast has one built into our integrated platform as well. Other resources that you can use to produce memes and videos and all sorts of things that I thought would be helpful to share. And again, we will be sharing this with you. Biteable is a really inexpensive software. It's cloud-based software, so you can just download it through their website to produce animated videos. So that's really, really cool. It's really inexpensive on a monthly level. I think it ranges anywhere from $10 to $20, and it allows you to produce really cute, easy videos. The user interface is very easy. And again, being low cost and easy to use, you can produce some great videos for your web, for social media, etc. Fiverr is a great freelance resource for inexpensive graphic designers, video production, really any sort of content type production that you can leverage. And you can get great ratings on all of the freelancers there. So that's a great tool that you can use really for any graphic design, video, content production as well. We found it to be very low cost. If you want an infographic maker for some infographics and things like that, Venngage is a great platform. For video and social content, Spark from Adobe is an awesome system. It is a little bit higher on the price point, but is a great tool, great resource for video and social content creation. To find relevant memes and GIFs or produce your own, you can definitely use Imager, and that is a great tool for producing, great GIFs, memes, things like that. And lastly, this article here, which I hope you all take advantage of when I send this to you, talks about some display ad production tools. There's about 5 or 6 of them in this article that are awesome, that will help you also produce some great, it's not really relevant to this webinar, but I thought it would be really helpful for all of you who may be, struggling to produce your own display inventory. Some of these software solutions are, again, super inexpensive on a monthly level. We're talking $10 to $20 a month, are all drag and drop editing, and they allow you to produce some display ad units that are really easy, so you can do your own creative in-house. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Don't go away just yet. I really want to remind you, please join us for our Switch to SoCast Ads webinar on September 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. My buddy Thomas does a killer job explaining one of our newest and best software solutions for all of you radio broadcasters out there. He does a great job. There's no strings attached. It'll give you a great insight into what you can do with our programmatic ad solution. So you can sell geofencing, geo-targeting, targeted display. You can either email thomas@socastdigital.com. He is on vacation till the end of the week, but you can also check out our website at socastdigital.com, and right at the top of the homepage, you will find the registration button for that webinar. So please join us. There's a ton to learn on that, and something you should all be taking advantage of in this day and age. Lastly, I am happy to offer a free digital consultation to anybody and everybody who attended this. You can email me at eric@socastdigital.com for this presentation. Please book a demo with SoCast. If you're not currently using it, we have some awesome tools for radio broadcasters and can really help you out. And of course, I'd be happy to provide you with both a free digital checklist and content cheat sheet that would really complement this webinar content. So reach out to me at eric@socastdigital.com and I'll be happy to provide those to you. And lastly, if you sign up with SoCast before October 31st, and with one of our web or app licenses, you'll receive an Alexa skill for your station as well. Again, I can't believe the end of summer and we're already talking about Halloween, but that is just crazy. Nevertheless, my friends, it is always my pleasure to be in front of you. I really appreciate you sticking by me here today. I wish you all the best in the month of September, and that for anybody who has kids, that they get back to school safely. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me and visit our website at socastdigital.com. Thanks again for attending, and we will be in touch soon with our next webinar. And don't forget to join Thomas on the 24th. Thanks again, everybody. Go Raptors and have yourself a great night.